Welcome to the Human Handbook Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Adam Tice, and we're going to be talking about everything you need to know, but nobody's telling you about how to optimize your health, cultivate happiness, and biohack your way to peak performance. I've been in the clinic 12 years, and I'm stepping out of the clinic into the pod studio, bringing all the clinical pearls, all the foundational wisdom that you need to accelerate your health and accelerate your life. Here we go. Okay guys, welcome to another episode of our podcast. We got a super exciting episode today, and kind of was thinking what I want to do now is we have covered some really important ground on the previous episodes of our pod. So if you're joining the pod and you're just hopping in right here, I would highly recommend to jump back to episode 1 and start there and build yourself from the ground up, because what I've been doing, guys, is walking us through this paradigm shift, walking us through and laying out the framework, giving you the natural foundations that you're going to need. And this is actually the quickest path to healing. The quickest path to healing is the naturopathic method. And that's what naturopathic medicine is. And there is an art and a science to this. And that's exactly what we've been walking through. The art of the whole thing is taking a strong science-based foundation where we're really grounded in the principles of medicine, and we're grounded in our principles of nature cure, and we are really embodying the principles of medicine that were laid out by Hippocrates. So we were first of all doing no harm. We are acting in cooperation and relying and leveraging and amplifying the healing power of nature, because we know that that is what restores the balance. We're treating the whole person. This is a whole person approach, and that's what we've been talking about as we've been going through. So I wanted to just take this episode and have it as a little bit of a landing zone for an integration period, so we can connect some dots, because as naturopathic doctors, this is what I do. I connect dots, and a big part of what we do, we're treating the whole person, we're connecting dots, and one of the naturopathic principles is docere, which means doctor is teacher, and that's really what's happening here, guys, is we're laying out the framework, giving the framework that actually is the quickest path to healing, and we're practicing prevention. And we're laying all this out and kind of open sourcing this mindset so that we can get the breakthrough and get the rapid healing and the lasting healing that is that people are looking for. And this is something that the dominant school of medicine doesn't quite understand. They don't understand that there are no quick fixes, and unfortunately we've all been indoctrinated with the quick fix mindset. We want a pill for the ill, we want to make it go away, knock the symptom down, knock it out, eradicate it, suppress it so that we can move on. And that's a super common mindset, and what we're doing is breaking that hypnotization, guys. We got to break the hypnotization that's been laid upon us, because the freedom, it lies in these methods, this philosophy, these principles, the paradigm shift. This is where it's at, guys. So if you're looking and trying to connect the dots, I want you to understand, again, I'm kind of open sourcing a little bit of this thought process, and the thought process, that's the medicine. This is really where the medicine begins, is with the paradigm shift here. And this is a big deal. So to kind of start to tie some things together, we've been through the principles of nature cure, and this is what I want to do. I kind of want to do a summation of these principles and some of the key points that we've gone through. And again, let's tie it all together and connect it all together in our brains and the individual episodes are where we'll unpack and explain each principle and the therapeutic orders and all of these, unpack those more. But here now, let's just tie it together and again, just get us solid in this new paradigm, because we've crossed this bridge now. We have crossed this bridge and we are in the new paradigm. And guys, when you're in the new paradigm, this is the paradigm where the body, where we know and we rely on and we lean into and leverage that strategic healing power of the body. We know that the body and that the natural state, the body is always it's always attempting to restore health. And if we can create the right environment, create the right lifestyle, which is going to set the epigenetic climate so that we're going to get optimal expression of the genetics, the best genetics possible in today's world, this is a big deal. So we can use these time-tested principles, and then we merge that and we mesh that with the new understandings and about the new biology, about the science of epigenetics and how that is really actually that is what is actually driving and dictating how your genes are going to open up, express. And this is stuff that is in our power. This is the radical self-responsibility that is prerequisite. It's required to come into this new paradigm. You cannot be powerless and come into the new paradigm. It does not work. There is no powerless mindset that can stand in this new paradigm. So all of this is the journey of self-empowerment, the journey of healing. And this, friends, this is the great work, guys. This is the great work. Our health and physical things that are laid in our path, challenges in our life that really, they really test us and try us, and they make us dig deep. And we have to come up with some resources. We have to come up with the knowledge and the information and find a way forward. And that requires self-responsibility, and we cannot be a victim in the new paradigm. We cannot be powerless in the new paradigm. So this is the beautiful thing here. This is the great work, guys. We're working on ourselves. We're working on our minds and our bodies, and we want to build strong bodies so that we can actually elevate ourselves and lift up ourselves so that we can be better people, so that we can be better dads, better fathers, better business owners, better CEOs. We can be better founders, a better coworker, a better colleague. We can just be better people. And one by one, we do this work from the inside out, and we will create a better new earth that is a healthy, vital, vibrant planet. And that's the whole point of what's going on. And that's really why we're doing all this. And this is what goes through my brain. This is how I think. This is baked into my method. This is my practice, guys. This is what is unique and different. This is how I think, and this is what is actually proven to be clinically effective. And I've seen it over and over and over again, and that's the reason I'm sharing it here. I want this to be common knowledge. I want to amplify this knowledge. I want to put this out there because there's a lot of people that are interested in this kind of stuff, the general field of holistic health. And we talked about we talked about in another episode about the different types of practitioners and things like that. This is one thing that everybody kind of knows this, but the actual framework, I don't know, and a lot of the principles, I'm not sure that it has been quite laid out in one place, and that's what the attempt here is to do. Other than inside of the profession itself, the naturopathic profession, We're an endangered species, guys, and the honest to God truth is, even inside the naturopathic profession, and if you have been to naturopathic doctors or other practitioners, naturopathic doctors, I'll talk about, because that's what I am. That's what I know about. That's the club that I'm in, right? I know that there is tremendous variation across naturopathic doctors, and I know that in different parts of the world and in different parts of even this country, and I live in the US, so that's what I can speak to. There's a lot of variation in the practice of even what's called naturopathic medicine, and I think that creates a lot of confusion in the public and on the user end of naturopathic medicine. And that is one attempt here. One of my goals here is to bring some clarification to that, and to set out and to lay out and to explain what are the things that make the naturopathic approach unique and different. And this is what I'm doing here. And there you will even find variety in here inside the naturopathic profession. And I will say one thing, and I hope this comes out right, but even inside of the naturopathic profession, there are instances where you may go to whoever the holistic doc is, the naturopathic doc, and you go in there, looking for the quickest path to healing, looking for someone that's going to break it down for you, this art and the science of naturopathic medicine, looking, to connect the dots. And unfortunately, what's happened is the digestion of the educational institutions, and they have squeezed a lot of the old timers out of the educational institutions and brought in, they've squeezed that out. So that's missing in the naturopathic educational institutions. And what has come along with licensure and expansion of practices, unfortunately, a lot of the younger generation naturopathic docs that did not have the opportunity to work with the elders who actually know the ins and the outs and the science of this medicine, they've fallen into the trap of having broad scopes of practice, which, they have prescriptive rights. And this is one of these things, state by state, naturopathic docs will be licensed differently. And on the West Coast, we have tremendous prescriptive rights, have DEA numbers. You can write all of those common scripts. So, I've heard this story a lot. People go into the naturopathic doc and they're hoping somebody's going to give them a path to healing that's going to be personalized and unique and going to be grounded in the philosophy and principles and the therapeutic order. And what they walk out with is, is prescriptions. And that, unfortunately, and then they might toss a couple of supplements in there and call it naturopathic. I think that's doing a tremendous disservice. And in my opinion, if that's what's going to go on, then I think we should have a different name for that and not confuse people by calling yourself naturopathic doctors. Now, if that's ringing a bell, I know that's happened to people because I've heard that story. And if you're a practitioner hearing that, that's a wake-up call. It means decide what paradigm you're in, because you can't ride the fence. You can't do both. There's no such thing. The honest truth is there's no such thing as integrative medicine. There's no such thing, really, especially in the domain of prevention and optimization. So I tangent a little bit, but that's to make the point that we really want to be rooted in the new paradigm. And when we're in this new paradigm, in this naturopathic paradigm, a few interesting things happen. And one interesting thing that I have observed, and it was taught to me and told to me, and then only experience and time kind of showed it actually to be true, is this premise that you cannot communicate across paradigms. So when you have made your way, and just think about this, guys, think about this. If you're on this healing path and you've started to get some interest in either herbal medicines or started to take some supplements or started to, look into using, food as medicine and changing your diet and doing things. Everybody's got the friend or the family member that just like doesn't buy it, right? They just don't buy it. They think it's total BS. Like that you need to go ahead and get yourself a real doctor. You need to go ahead and start getting yourself some real prescriptions and some real medicine and stop all this hocus pocus kind of things that you're doing. And you just need to do some real medicine and stop all the hocus pocus stuff, right? Everybody's got that friend or that family member that does that. And all I'm saying is we're playing the long game. And let's watch and see. Time will tell the truth. Time will tell the truth, and we'll see what happens in the long game. And I know what happens when people get caught in the pharmaceutical trap, even if they're interested in, food as medicine and trying to look at something alternative. A lot of times what happens is people have complex issues, and we've talked about this. People are getting sicker and sicker and sicker. They're burnt out. They're brain fogged. There are so many metabolic issues. So they may go in with that cholesterol up a little high and the blood pressure is a little high. Insulin or maybe hemoglobin A1C is a little high. They have these things, some weight gain going on, maybe some thyroid is going a little off, and they may have a natural mindset where they really want to do things naturally, but they don't know what to do and they don't know exactly how to do it. And people trust their doctors. People trust their primary care doctors. People trust their specialists. That's how it is designed to be, and we should be able to trust the medical system. And unfortunately, the docs and the scientists and quote evidence-based medicine has been put onto a pedestal and has become essentially worshipped, and you're not allowed to question that. People aren't allowed to question that. They say, don't question this, just do this. You have to do this. You really have to take this statin. You gotta do this pharmaceutical. You really gotta take this thing. And by the way, we're on a podcast, so this is not medical advice, okay? So always consult with your naturopathic physician who is hopefully a vitalist and hopefully rooted in this philosophy and principles and can help you navigate your way through a broken healthcare system and really guide you to the quickest path of healing, which is this naturopathic paradigm. You got to look at these things and see. So people may go in, they have complex issues, they don't know what to do, they trust their specialist, and next thing you know, they're on, a blood pressure med and, a statin, and then that's how it goes. And that may be on board, but then 2-3 years later, a couple things go on, and next thing you know, there's polypharmacy on board. There's 3, 4, 5, 8 pharmas on board, and that person that kind of had a holistic mental setup has now been pulled through it has a kind of a momentum to it, also a negative momentum in the sense that the dominant school of medicine, the allopathic school of medicine, will pull you and force you to become dependent on its modalities and its therapies, and it gets difficult, it gets tricky to navigate out, especially when you have multiple pharmas on board, multiple prescriptions. And then it does get tricky because depending on what that prescription is, there can be issues coming on or off those meds, and there are classes of drugs that you can't just cold turkey them, cardiac meds, beta blockers, the category of SSRIs and those drugs that they're using for anxiety and depression, what are so common. And then there's a fear element baked in, and again, mixed with confusion, people don't know what to do, and then they get stuck in the system. And unfortunately, this is happening to younger and younger populations, and this is becoming established as the norm, as just being on multiple meds, and that's how it is, and everybody gets used to it. That's an old, broken paradigm mental setup, and that's what we're providing the framework and the ladder and the structure and the knowledge to come out of that. That's the paradigm. That's the bridge that we're building right now, is so you can come out of that. And this is what I do. I help people navigate their way across these paradigms, get them anchored in the naturopathic paradigm, help them navigate their way out of the dominant school of medicine, if that's what we got to do. And then we get rooted in this new paradigm, because in the new paradigm, the interesting thing is you cannot communicate across the paradigm. You cannot communicate across the bridge. They cannot understand what we're saying. This is the specialists. This is the personalities, the family member, the friend that just doesn't understand this. A lot of people have had this experience where you might be so excited about something that you've read about or learned about or seen about, or maybe even something that you're doing, and you may have even healed yourself from a complex chronic disease using natural medicines. You may have hacked this and had the grace of God kind of give you this download and facilitate some healing, and then we're excited about it. You're on fire. You want to spread the good word. You want to go tell a friend, a family member about it, and you find yourself just teaching and preaching, and they push back and they just don't get it and they don't understand. It's like they don't have the brain grooves to catch what we're saying. So we got to model this, guys, and hopefully through some, like mirror neuron activity of some sort, through some osmotic mirror neuron neuroplasticity phenomenon, we can hit a critical mass and hit a threshold where this can be the norm and the standard mental setup for the generations to come. And hopefully we can create a healthier human population and create a healthier minds and healthier bodies, because that's the thing that we're actually starting to see here. And we mentioned this, the population's getting sicker, younger and younger, and the people as a whole, the adult population, is getting sicker and sicker and sicker. And a lot of this is not mysterious. It's not mysterious why there is so much mental illness and why there's so much stress and why there's so much burnout and brain fog and chronic disease in the world. It is because of a lot of things, but one of the main factors, and all the things we've been talking about during previous episodes, but one of the things that has happened is we have suppressed and we have compromised the physical health to such a point, and we've driven that chronic diseases and those chronic miasms past now across generations. And this has been driven deep into the economy of the individual, deep into the cellular memory of the individual. And that is one reason why people are sick. And the other thing that we're starting to see is that as this happens, it actually, as the disease and the imbalance continually is suppressed over time, again and again, through generations, what's actually happening is this is making people sick in their mind, and it is driving the imbalance into the mental sphere. And that is part of the reason why there's so much burnout and brain fog and anxiety and panic and depression and all these things. And that's why I put a lot of focus on healing the mind, because it's something that a lot of people are dealing with. And then we have to go in reverse order of which the symptoms appeared, and we have to heal actually across the generational timeline and take responsibility for some of the misunderstandings that our ancestors may have had, our genetic ancestors may have had, and propagated some of these imbalances through the genetic lineage. And we have to take responsibility, and I really think this is important, and I believe that we can do this. We can heal these things that have been transmitted. We can heal this, and we can take responsibility for this, and then we can then propagate forward into our future generations a more balanced, healthy starting point, so that they don't have to clean up our mistakes. And that is a really powerful thing. And if you resonate that, if you get what I'm saying, then that's a tremendous click. And this is my method. This is my practice. This is what is unique and different. This is what goes through my brain. This is how I think when I'm taking cases and when I'm working with people and coming up with personalized solutions for the person that's sitting in front of me, because we know that there are no cookie cutter solutions, and the quickest path to healing, that might actually take a little bit of time. It doesn't mean there's a quick fix and it's going to make a symptom go away overnight. But if we zoom out just a little bit and take a little bit of a 30,000 foot view, if it takes me 3 to 6 months to heal something and heal a person and get them set off on the fast track, that is the fast track. That is the quickest path to healing, rather than continually suppressing, feeling like a symptom goes away, feeling like your problem has been solved, only to have it come back 2 days, 2 weeks, 2 months, 2 years later in a more aggressive fashion, in a more flared up fashion, or maybe go into a different part of the body and present in a new and novel way, so it looks like there's something new and different going on, but what we're witnessing is that suppression is coming out, and it's another attention light. It's another check engine light through another symptom, and we're going to have to go in reverse order and unwind that previous symptom that was suppressed. And that is how it goes. So in that sense, the illusion is that there is a pill for the ill and there is a quick fix, but the real life answer is that's going to prolong your healing journey. And if you do that enough, long enough, you're going to get sick enough and you're not going to be able to unwind it. And there comes a point where the vitality of the system gets so suppressed and so depressed that it's not able to recover. And in that case, sometimes you have to drop the body and come back and try again next time. So we're not going to bring any of that with us, but what you will bring with you are your understandings and your cognitions and your breakthroughs that you get. So the great experiment here, we're witnessing the 100-year medical experiment that is allopathic medicine and the naturopathic modalities, and my Foundations 360 method and this Natural Foundations philosophy, this naturopathic philosophy, is the pill for the ill. It is the red pill that we need to cross the paradigm and actually get some real and lasting solutions to our health. This is my method. This is my practice. This is what is unique and different about what we're doing. This is why it works. This is how it works. This is the open sourced kind of thought process here about how this works. So there is a definite science to this. There is an art to this whole thing. And the art is connecting the dots and using the tools of science, because we use those tools of science. We use all the labs and the imaging and the diagnostics and all of that. Those are tremendous tools. We need to know what's going on. The medicine is the medicine. As far as like diagnostics and workup and understanding pathology and understanding what's going on. Now, the two things that are drastically different are the understanding about how that pathology manifests, like why does that manifest, and we talked about that. Why does disease manifest? Well, it's because of diminished vitality, abnormal composition of the blood and the lymph, and accumulation of toxicity in the body. And over time, that's going to create inflammation and nutrient insufficiencies, nutrient deficiencies, imbalances that are going to lead to low-level inflammation. And then that's going to derange the system and create a pathology over time if it's not addressed. And if it's suppressed, it's going to fast-track that pathology. So understanding how that happens, we need to understand, and this is what is unique, this is what is different about this approach. And then, of course, the therapeutic side of it. How are we going to address any kind of symptom or pathology? That is where this approach is unique and different. We have to cooperate with the healing power of nature, as opposed to suppress and annihilate a symptom with that terrorist mental setup that the dominant school of medicine embodies, where they think they can give anti and crush a pathology and have and have some solution at the end of that. It's never ever going to work. And we have, if we look back about the last 100 years or so, which is basically what we're looking at with where the dominant school of medicine, the allopathic medicine, has really taken hold and positioned themselves through brilliant marketing and through a lot of money. They position themselves as authorities, and so what we're doing is presenting a different way. And this is not new. This is not different. These conversations that we're having now, this stuff that we're talking about, is I can go back and read some of the older naturopathic literature, and they're having these exact same conversations 100 years ago. The exact same conversations. The difference now is the world that we live in with social media and the legacy media, the mainstream media is basically dead. We have so many other platforms and so many other ways that people are accessing information in social media. This is what's brilliant and beautiful about this whole thing, is that there's so much information out there, and there's no reason why you can't find this information. And that's really what we're doing. And that, if we can get this click and we can hardwire this philosophy and these principles into our systems, into our paradigms, into our belief systems and the frameworks that we operate our lives, and we can incorporate this into how we teach our kids and how we speak to our kids about health and healing and vitality, we can really change the course of humanity. And that's really truly what I'm interested in, guys, is number one, getting this click and having the freedom so you can take care of your own health, and you can be your own doctor, and you can be reliant and autonomous, and of course leveraging information on the internet and from people like me that are talking about this and giving this, and then we can propagate that into the next generations, and we can turn this thing around, guys. We can make a healthier, happier, more robust, more vital humanity. This is my method. This is my practice. This is what's unique and different. This is what goes on in my brain when I'm taking cases. This is how I think. So this is the download, guys. We've gone through some of the key paradigm shifters here, and this is the bridge, guys. That's the download. We're going to pause here. I want you to listen to this episode again. If we need to go back to any of the other episodes, talking about any of the principles, the therapeutic order, determinants of health, food is medicine, how the mind-body is connected, the different levels of this, understanding suppression and uncovering the root cause, and understanding what is acute disease and what are fevers and colds and flus, and then navigating our way through the world of alternative medicine, navigating our way out of a broken allopathic system and into a world, a naturopathic world, where we are unique and different and vital and healthy and vibrant. That's what I'm talking about. That's the world we want to create. That's the legacy we want to leave for our children, so that they can have solid physical health and solid mental and emotional health, so that they can create their best life. That's the download, guys. You guys have a wonderful day. Adios for now. Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to today's episode of the Human Handbook Podcast. My name's Dr. Adam Tice. You guys have a great day. Thank you so much for being here. And be sure to tune in next week, where we're going to be talking more about everything you need to know, but nobody's telling you, about how to optimize your health, cultivate happiness, and biohack your way to peak performance. Adios for now, guys.